and look back on your life, and it's what they call dying while yet living. It's part
Hmm.
of doing shadow work while you're going through the dark night of the soul. So when you look back on your life, you see certain patterns, key names, key figures whose influence what.
And archetypes. You see certain
Yeah.
archetypes. They
So
keep
archetype
repeating.
is part of the required study in the priesthood to allow you to understand which aspect of God you're dealing with. The highest aspect of God we call Big Mama. And the next highest aspect of God we call Big Papa, right? Big Mama feminine, Big Papa masculine, but we call them the old energies, right? So when you hear about them, call them the gods from days of old. It's written in a lot of the texts around the world, but don't nobody know what it means. Because they don't call for help, they can't get none. They're calling the wrong names, right? Jesus is spelled Iesous in Greek, right? Using applied grammar, IE becomes fused as S, U cancels out the O and makes the US sound us. So when you pronounce it as a single word, it says ISIS. But the story that it's telling is not the story of ISIS, it's the story of Moses or Horus, right? So the character, the Old Testament was written as a recovery text for the New Testament, meaning the New Testament was written first.
We were told in always told in the church and in Bible college that the Old Testament is the new concealed and the New Testament is the old revealed, and that's the way they kind of played it off. But then you
Because they got to give you the right to discover that the Old Testament is written after the New Testament, which turns religion on its head.
and we were also taught that there were 400 silent years between the ending of the old and book of Malachi and the beginning of the new, and that in those 4 years God was silent. What we do know now, those who study, is that those are years of what I guess sort of reconstruction renaissance, which came out ended up being a renaissance afterward. That was when they were the Piso family and the ones that were um, uh,
So
uh,
the misunderstanding comes in
the ones
here.
that were writing, like you said, the one to try to make the two in agreement. That 400-year period, they were that nobody could read the so-called Bible because they were putting it together,
Right. But that 400-year period is actually uh, a period where apocryphal books was written.
which they, for the most part, disqualified from that. Like the Gnostic texts, they didn't want us to read the Gnostic texts.
Right. Well, not necessarily. They called the apocryphal books. The
Well, the
apocryphal
apocryphal
books.
books, and then later on, the Gnostic, anything
Right.
that was
So
given gnosis knowledge, we weren't supposed to have that. We were just supposed to believe.
right. So they got several different groups of information that comes from this understanding of missing books of the Bible. First, source material. Because when you source material back, it's a book called Black Gods Who Wrote the Bible. No, Black Africans Who Wrote the Bible, right? Because the Bible was written by Etruscan Moors for the purpose of military conquest, and it was compiled and rewritten, I should say, based off ancient texts in order to control the narrative. And the
True.
controlled narrative is what Rome has been doing the whole time.
True.
When I used to always hear my father say, when you look for the when he say when you look for the troublemaker, all roads lead to Rome. I don't know what he's talking about, but when I followed it religiously, I ended up with the Nicene Council in 325 AD. When I
Right.
followed it back politically, I ended up with something called Plato's Republic. When I figured it out, when I followed it back socially, I ran into something called a Greco-Roman Empire. When I ran it back uh, from a athletic perspective, I ended up with the Olympiad. So I always ended up in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started tracing the dirt doers back, they went straight to Rome. They went to the Nicene Council, 325 and 327. They went back to the ancient um, writer Origin, who was what they call a first century philosopher. They went back to Saint Augustus, another first century writer of Christendom. How can they be first century writers of Christendom when Christendom don't come about into the 300s? So they lying to us automatically.
Then you had the council of, what's it called, Chalcedon of 451, where they
Hmm.
put together the edict of what the Bible was going to be good for. You know what I mean? Um,
Right. So this
here,
is when they was.
yeah. Let me. Can I read that? Just a little paragraph sentence.
Yep.
It says this council of the Roman Catholic Church, this wise and saving creed, the gift of divine grace, was sufficient for a perfect understanding and establishment of religion. So, for its teaching about the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit is complete, and it sets out the Lord's becoming human to those who faithfully accept it. So, agenda. They created religion. They created the characterizations and the deity of God as a part of what they were doing, and it's in their writings.
Yeah. So it's never been a secret. I was going over the bloody oath of the papacy to murder the kings, princes, and people of the land. With young elder, because they put this stuff in the public domain, but most of us don't know we really seriously is in a spiritual war. In spiritual warfare, you have to fight it spiritually, and the effects is going to trickle down to the physical. If you try to fight it physical first, that's like putting the cart in front of the horse,
Right.
right? You going out the world ass backwards, as my father used to say, right? So, when you put everything in its proper place, don't give it a judgment, and then step back and look at the big picture, right? So they wrote all of the dirt down that they was gonna do before they done it. That's to absolve them from karmic debt before they do the act. Because now, if you agree to follow through with what they said they were going to do, that was your free will being exercised. They just influenced it. That's why they say the devil don't never tell you what to do. He just suggests it to you. It's
Yeah.
just a strong suggestion by a power base that appears to be legitimate. And the appearance of legitimacy is predicated on the paperwork. Because if you don't have the degrees, you should not have the knowledge. Right? Which takes me to the next phase of my incarceration, where I thought I was doing all this studying in vain. So here we are, 5, 6 years later, from hearing this lady in the day room in Cook County telling me to get a PhD. And I'm getting headaches from reading so many books so fast, right? And the headaches is to the point where they're annoying to me that I don't want to read no more, right? I don't know nothing about the nutritional burning that the brain is doing. But we go to a Black History celebration, and sister brings in a African dance corps. She was out of Detroit, and she don't know what this lady said when I was in that day room. And she sat there and she said, "Some of y'all gonna get tired. Y'all gonna think y'all doing everything for nothing. Y'all gonna feel like it's a waste of time, and that you doing a whole lot of research and studying in vain because it's not getting you nowhere." She say, "But don't let that deter you. Get your PhD anyway."
So here it was like a divine relay system. One passed the baton to the next to come, and when you needed a recharge, when you were about to, your battery was running down, when fit your faith in what you were doing was running down, then the Most High, Big Mama, sent in reinforcement to
Right.
reinforce what you've been
So
told.
when I used to get
Let me see.
spiritual,
See, y'all, they messing with us. Let me see. Let me see if he comes back in, y'all. Okay, let me get him back. Are you there? Can you hear? Say something?
can you hear me now?
Now I hear you. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So can you repeat
So
that
I was
last
saying,
statement?
yeah, I was saying after the lady said that the second time, I went and talked to my mother on a visit. She had came up that following weekend. And I said, Mama, the strangest thing happened to me. And I told her the story of the first lady. And I said, then last week this lady came in here, or earlier this week, the lady came in and said, and I told her the story of the second lady. And my mama said, that's the Lord talking to you, baby. You need to listen. She said, but you're going to hear it from somewhere else. Just pay attention. So I'm on the yard and I'm talking to a brother who was a recovering addict and alcoholic. And didn't nobody used to sit and talk with him because he was a recovering addict and an alcoholic. Can you hear me, Dr. G?
Yes.
Okay. Because you froze on my end. That's why I had to ask you.
Oh, okay.
So we was sitting there talking. And he said, man, I be trying to tell these young guys around here, man, all this time they got on their hands, they want to play basketball, they want to chase boys, they want to get high in the joint. And they need to be in there getting some knowledge with these free books they got. And they got law books, they got history books, whatever you want to learn. Then they got an interlibrary loan where you can get any book you need to get. I don't know why they don't just go and get their PhD and stop playing.
Three, the third time.
Yeah, so that's called three master knots, right? The third one came in off of a male father line, who was consumed by vices, right? So it's a vice lord knot. So it's a big mama on the father line giving me a confirmation that the big mama message that came off the mother line that was confirmed by my mother was accurate. I didn't know that when it happened. I put that together years later.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm always reflecting on my life and how to be a better person, I keep going over these lessons that I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some of the strangest stuff that happened to me is I would go check a book out in the library, and the book would be so old it don't have an ISBN number, just the title and the author. And I write the title and the author down, read the book, read the book, take the book back, go back because I might have wanted to review something else a month later, and the book not there. So then I go ask the librarian, and he said, "We never had that book, and here's not in our records." That used to, and it happened more than several times where I read a book that didn't exist. So then I started asking myself, where in the hell is these books coming from? That they don't exist no more, right? But now in modern hindsight 2020. When the knowledge was consumed, it caused the Mandela effect, which switched the timeline. And on the other timeline, the same book doesn't exist. It can't be produced on a different timeline. So every
Wow.
time this is happening, I'm experiencing a subtle Mandela effect, never knowing what I experienced because we didn't have a name for it. It wasn't called the Mandela effect at that time.
True.
We were still studying the butterfly effect.
Yeah. Flap
And
the
the
butterfly
butterfly
flaps
effect,
his wings here, and then makes it something happen on the other side of the world because of the flutter of the wing. Yeah.
yep. So he flutters his wings in Los Angeles as the energy moves back east around the world. By the time it gets to Japan, it's a full-fledged typhoon. Chain reaction. microcosm, macrocosm effect, right? So in the microcosm, macrocosm, as above, so below, as within, so without. If you want to use universal law to affect change in the world, you apply them to the self as the microcosm, and the reaction takes place in the macrocosm of the external world. It just takes time, the bigger the event is, to manifest into the visual spectrum of the others in the 3D realm. Once you learn this, then you understand how doing real time numerology gematria and what we call it number flipping is actually, when you saying it out your mouth, triggering events to take place in the physical world based on what you've seen in real time and what you know from historical record and how you are looking at the problem in order to solve it. So when my mama used to always tell me, don't never let nobody take none of your brothers and sisters stuff, I wasn't even the oldest child. Why would she keep telling me that?
Hmm.
She supposed to be telling my oldest brother and my oldest sister, don't let nobody take your brother and sister stuff. She not supposed to be telling that to number 7. I got 6 people that got to go through,
Yeah.
right? But I was born on the 10th. That's why I come in on 10, because my siblings exhausted 1 through 9 already. So why am I going to wait and come? No, I got to come in on 10. So I came in 11, 10. That's 11, 2 pillars, 10 toes down on the upright. Sacred seal and
Yeah.
68, right? On an
Mhm.
11, on a 10-15 birth, which is the 7th. To the 7th child, it's a knockback. On a perfect alignment of the stars to bring in an old soul that can solve the problems. Anybody can put my birth date in 11-10-68 and put in the time as 10-15 and look at the alignment of the stars
Is
and
that
know
AM or
that
PM?
AM in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But when they look at the stellar alignment, they're gonna know that that's not a normal reading for, because all of the astrologers that was teaching me astrology, how to read the ephemeris, how to look at a star map, how to triangulate the ground from the stars. I'm learning this from astrologers and astronomers that's been
Mm-hmm.
doing it for years. And they keep telling me the same thing. Your alignment.
You froze up again. Let me see.
Can you hear me?
Well, now I hear you. You get froze for a moment, and so you said
Yep,
they
I
keep
heard
telling you
something
about
you
your
said, so
alignment.
I know where I stopped at. But
Okay.
these people had keep telling me that my alignment is not normal, right? The only thing that's missing from the calculation is the coordinates to Cook County Hospital by longitude and latitude. And then when I'm the only male child living from that batch of sons that was born. And then what my mama went through giving me birth, they tried to murder my mama in the hospital by giving her the wrong blood that was infected with hepatitis,
Oh, wow.
right? So when my mother finally passed, it was post transplant, post liver transplant, right? And because now I can remember almost everything that went on when I was born in the delivery room. I can remember the conversations that the doctors was having on the other side of the room, but I can't tell that to regular people because it totally sounds fucking insane.
Well, we not regular people,
Because
so you
most
can
people,
tell. You can tell us.
but but most people don't don't remember being born, so they believe nobody can remember. I remember swimming and doing flips in my
Wait a minute.
mama's stomach
Wait a minute. For some reason you're breaking up. I think I see.
before
I
two or
think
three
I
years old.
listen. I don't know what I don't know if it's my side or your side, but the sound is breaking up. I think you said you remember swimming, and then in your mind,
Yeah, I remember swimming in my mama's womb doing flips off her stomach.
what?
I remember like being in utero in amniotic fluid doing backflips using my mother's inner uterus as a springboard.
I believe
And
it.
I remember hearing my mama telling my daddy, "This is gonna be a little badass boy here. He monkey flipping all up and down in my stomach." I can't tell nobody that. That's insanity to the regular people.
Well, for a lot of people, Brother Rod, though I used to say this even when I was still preaching, that there's a scripture that talks about, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you, and I ordained you a prophet to the nations. And I think it was Jeremiah, and I always told that was just a prototype for everybody who was, before they were formed, they were known and they had an assignment that they were supposed to fill. I said, but once you make that decision and say, look, okay, I'm ready, I'm gonna go down, that man, that woman come together, that spark, then I'm gonna inhabit that body that's formed from that. Then I said, you float around for maybe 9 months, because I've had preemies, but 9 months in the amniotic fluid, which I would call amnesia juice. I said, and while you in the amnesia juice, you forget what your assignment is, and so your so-called
That's
life
how I
is
discovered how
one.
to erase our memory.
Right. So your life is one of trying to remember. He said, when you come into your kingdom, remember me, reconnect me to my purpose, to myself. And was it you who said that the lights they throw in your face are like the same, the white that the men in black do?
Right. Now, this is
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sybil priestesses would sync with the queen mother of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And they would come from each tribe,
Mm-hmm.
right? So all of the tribes would send one to go learn to be a Sybil priestess from the great priestess herself, the high priestess, the highest of priestesses,
Mm-hmm.
the great mother, queen of heaven and earth, right? So them being in sync with her, they become her ambassadors to the world, because wherever they at, she there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say in the Bible, wherever you at, the Lord is there also.
Yeah. Where so what about when was the fall of matriarchy? You know what I mean? What was
That's
the fall of
when
matriarchy?
Alexander usurped Helen
Mm-hmm.
by gaining the Destiny Scroll,
Mm-hmm.
surrendering it to his father's line
Mm-hmm.
in order for them to rise up in Rome as a patriarchal empire
Mm-hmm.
that had homosexual philosophy as the base philosophy.
Yeah.
Roman philosophy is the greatest love is between a man and a boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's not correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly opposite of the earth doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
The earth doctrine is the greatest love between a man and a woman in which they produces a child,
Mm-hmm.
right? What we call the great trinity.
Mm-hmm.
Every time a child is born, that's another trinity. That's another three,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the child is a sum total parts of the mother and the father
Mm-hmm.
in character and in deed,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the Sibyls, wherever they went, it was like the Queen of Heaven and Earth was there. She know everything going on wherever they at.
Mm-hmm.
She can see through their eyes, they can see through hers.
All connected.
It's a connected hive link.
Mm-hmm. Now, I see a lot of things as well. That's it. You got these people that saying, "Oh, they putting up things, putting up chemtrails. They're putting up different things to try to block the sun."
They
Now,
were.
hmm we
They
said,
were.
yeah, they were.
They cleaning that shit up now.
Mm. I guess my question is still, as much as these so-called men try to combat this ascension, or this, this reawakening, so to speak, is there an opposition towards these people?
Yep. Toward the
Hmm.
ones trying to wake everybody up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's automatically going to be an obstacle, resistance.
Hmm.
It's going to be resistance to the ones asleep, not wanting to wake up.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then it's going to be resistance from the ones who don't want us waking nobody up.
Hmm.
Then it's going to be resistance from the ones who swore to fight against us until the end of time.
Hmm.
Right? And they're going to fight to the last man standing.
Hmm. And that I get that. That's my question. Who's fighting against them? You know what I'm saying? What is it, the opposition that's fighting against them? I guess in our behalf, or is it just the fact that we got to wake up and start to fight them? You know what I'm saying? Or do we have that extra help?
We got all the help we need.
Hmm.
The problem is us becoming consciously aware
Hmm.
of a power shift taking place without the government telling you.
Yeah. Hmm.
Because the energy is in the air and all of the signs are available.
Hmm.
But the people are still in slumber
Hmm.
and still not understanding what they're seeing in front of their face.
Yeah.
And the false narrative is still captivating the audience, keeping them misled.
Yeah. They still in the matrix. They still, in front of the boob tube. You know what I'm saying? And they're still, most of it's
Plugged
still,
in.
yeah, plugged in. Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah, because it's like even now, like we said earlier, it seems like there are some major shifts, man. Because I never, I mean, there was cats that I really can't even say on this bigger level, individuals that have this big bullhorn that are speaking out like they are right now. Not, uh, I guess maybe in the entertainment, maybe it was more on the political side, but these entertainers and sports athletes that are doing this now, I mean, you can't help but get people's attention on this level. This is for me, this is like something new on this level. You
Yeah.
feel me? I've
Yeah.
never seen this like this.
48 laws of power say create a compelling spectacle.
Uh-huh.
Right? Hegelian dialectics say start the shit, watch the reaction, and then come with a solution.
Mm.
Right? So all of these things converging together.
Yeah.
The uh the ancient code of kings.
Mm-hmm.
It say when the conspiracy against the king has been discovered, he dragged the conspirators out in the open
Mm.
before he execute them and publicly read their crimes before the public and lay the conspiracy bare,
Mm-hmm.
so that the public will demand the blood of the traitor.
Yeah.
And then the king so graciously delivers the traitor's head on a silver platter.
Mm.
But we don't remember the ancient code of kings.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let me see. They had another question here. Let me see if oh, here we go. It says, what is the name of the gatekeepers of the Dendora?
I don't know.
Yeah, gatekeepers in the. Actually, I remember names. I remember reading a book that Baba put out talking about the gatekeepers, but I remember even seeing no names on them. But I mean, just the fact that there are gatekeepers, huh? Let's move on to the next one. Oh, this is more of a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving in frequency of a tribe. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I mean, that's what you're just saying as far as even dealing with the Sybil, just connecting, together. But yeah, man, that's. Hold on one second. Oh, never mind. That ain't a good one. But yeah, bro. Let me go back here. If y'all haven't already, please, the brother's Cash App is here up here. You know what I'm saying? Please support the good brother. He's doing this, for our behalf to try to wake us up, man. So it's $ SIKAPE. That's his Cash App. Hold on one second. I'm freezing here. Hold on one second. I got another question.
Oh, that's psychic self-defense here.
Mm-hmm.
When you learn how to harness your energy,
Mm-hmm.
your own energy, and to control your energy, you can easily disorient a person with just a look.
Mm.
right? Because you can thrust your energy through your eyes the same as you can thrust your fist to their jaw.
Mm. All right. Can a person reincarnate as their own daughter after dying a few months after giving birth to that child?
It won't be. It will. It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible because some every now and then the person can't find a person they're willing to come back through,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll say fuck it, and
Yeah.
then they'll self reincarnate. Right. The child takes up to 9 months in order for their soul to calibrate to a frequency,
Mm.
to lock them into a character of who they are. And they drawing that energy through the DNA from the family line anyway.
Mm.
So if the mother is not present in physical form, it's just a matter of calibrating that energy from the other side to get into this side.
Mm. All right. Do you believe that the year 2050 is the end of a 400-year enslaved period of mental and physical slavery?
They already that's already over.
Mm-hmm.
There was a house resolution commemorating the 400 years back in I think 2018, 2017,
Mm-hmm.
right, where they acknowledged the 400 years. That's actually a closing of a contract that's known as the biblical contract of the Pope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is a question on what we were talking about earlier about we were talking about Egypt and America and the Nile and etc. Because I remember somebody, I can't remember who it was. They were saying that like Egypt was Hollywood. You know that they made it look all.
That was me,
Oh, Egypt
because
was
that's what it
Hollywood.
was.
Yeah.
It was just to reenact the holy drama,
Uh huh.
right? The holy
Mm-hmm.
drama is to keep the memory of the great debauchery in the domain of the public,
Mm-hmm.
so that when we come back and remember who we are, we'll know what the
Mm-hmm.
judgment was and how to render the judgment to the public so that you can resolve the matter at the close of the age.
Mm. All right. Another one. Where do ancestors go when they transition? What realm does the Northern Lights have anything to do with our transition?
Oreo Borealis is the northern lights, and that's a reflection off of the inner earth onto the atmosphere. Um, the realm, the fifth dimensional realm, is the realm that we go to between incarnations. The fourth dimensional realm is what we call the dream realm.
Mm-hmm.
But because the fourth and third was collapsed on each other, that's why you have to split your day between the two dimensions.
Mm.
But when you leave your physical form, you recoil back to the fifth dimension unless you done doing your work here. Then you go all the way back up to the 19th.
And I all the way to the top. All right. How much are we a fusion of our parents in a completely different soul in this body?
We gonna always, because the DNA it seems infinite, but it has a limited number of frequencies for a soul to incarnate into a physical form.
Mm-hmm.
It's only like 4 points on the entire genome that line up to allow certain energy frequencies to come back in.
Mm-hmm.
These frequencies is coming from the union of the two lines, mother line, father line. When they cross, the individual then lets out a frequency and then becomes a composite of both sides of the family.
Mm.
And the fusion is not always the same. Sometimes 20% mama, 80% daddy. Sometimes it's 80% mama, 20% daddy. That's when they look at a child and say, you your mama
Yeah,
child,
yeah.
so you chose your daddy child. They can
Mm-hmm.
look at you and tell, right? That's because you have a controlling percentage of one or the other.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Do you think children of light will incarnate simultaneously when the time is right? Light code activation of the melanated being. So the children of light is the rainbow children, the indigos. They've been coming in for the better half of 45 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And they are awakened at different levels because we don't all wake up at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
but they all got gifts to offer humanity for the upgrade of humanity.
All these. Go ahead.
You see where it said the light code activation?
Mm-hmm.
That's the solar rays coming in. So you remember the tattoo Rasheed Wallace got on his shoulder of
Mm-hmm.
Akhenaten and the sun rays?
Mm-hmm.
That's what that represents.
Mm-hmm.
Activating of the light code and the melanated being. But the melanin is auto sentient. It's conscious on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And you trying to learn how to communicate with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the prime source or the microphone is at the base of the spine. Think matrix plug in.
Mm-hmm. It's all now. This is a question that I have. I remember some individuals are trying to say that this reality is a simulation. You know what I mean?
It's a
That this,
hologram.
yeah, that it's a simulation. Now, the grand architects, you know what I'm saying? It's a grand architect. Like, for example, you dealing with a new. That's the Most High, on whatever the case may be. The source. Is the source the grand architect? Would that be the grand architect?
So you look at source as Big Mama.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Big Mama delegate responsibilities to the ones who's capable in that particular field.
Gotcha.
She creates you as a sentient creator being for the purposes of manifesting reality before our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And you got different expressions of reality throughout the boundless universes,
Mm-hmm.
right? A good show to watch to get an idea what I'm talking about is Sliders,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you got light spectrums, you got sound ranges, and the combination where they cross at different locations vibrated a different frequency of reality to produce a different reality than the one you see. So right now we are in a grand dance to create tomorrow while we burning yesterday down. We done with yesterday. Now all we take from it is the memories in order to take the lessons from it to build a better tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow ain't here yet because we ain't built it,
Yeah,
but
built it.
we in the process.
Mm-hmm. Uncle Rod, I died in my sleep and came back. Saw my angel hovering orange light above my head in 7 Mile in 2004. And I wondered if it was Christ or Hootie's lineage since I was a child.
It's I would need more information,
Yeah.
more background on the
Mm-hmm.
on him and his situation.
Grandmaster Hayes, what exactly is in the red iron oxidized dust around the sky, a sun from the sky?
The tail of Nibiru, the red iron oxide is the rust because it's a brown dwarf. It's a collapsed star and it took
Mm-hmm.
on a metallic form. The Anunnaki, along with several other of their allies, hollowed it out and turned the inside into a terraform habitation. It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And the iron oxide blows off the surface of Nibiru as it hurls through space as a dust trail.
Mm. What if this Earth is going through an upgrade? You know what I'm saying? And are there some certain beings that on here that cannot go along with the upgrade? And what about the beings inside the Earth? Even these humans that are building inside the Earth, will they be affected by the upgrade?
Everything with a genome going to be affected. Some things
Mm-hmm.
are not mitochondrial based, won't be able to sink to the earth,
Yeah.
and it'll either leave from being repelled by the earth or it's going to die on earth. But if it don't come from a mitochondrial base that can link to the earth, it will not be allowed to reincarnate back here. So it'll, by default, it'll have to go back to its point of origin.
Mm. Again, back to the Matrix.
Right. So you keep hearing me bring up the mitochondria
Mm-hmm.
because this is a critical link to the earth sinking process.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the whole Enlil war in heaven was about. The inability of the man to control a feminine planet using patriarchy because he can't rule, because he can't have the birthright, because he doesn't have the X chromosome or rulership.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once the war started, the one with the Y chromosome had to also have the X chromosome of the mother blood typing
Mm-hmm.
in order to be the heir.
Mm-hmm.
And that left only one what you call um, one option available.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's always one son,
Mm-hmm.
because he's the only one that's available that is on the frequency from the mother line and the father line.
Is it? Is there? I know that back in time, certain times, women were able to impregnate themselves. Will that ever have to happen again? Um, that.
That stopped because they put the moon there to block out the Lilith energy of Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
And the women had to relearn moon magic with their Saturn magic or their Lilith magic. Once they understand how to tune their frequencies of their body, they will be able to spontaneously reproduce what we call parthenogenesis.
Mm-hmm.
But only certain ones of them would be allowed to do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So her status would be queen,
Yeah.
like the queen bee, queen termite, queen ant.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. All right. Question here: can you relate or describe the cosmic slop?
Um, that's kind of difficult to. I'm not sure when she used the term cosmic slop. I'm thinking she's talking the waste product of creation
Mm-hmm.
being stirred up,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not familiar with it as this term.
This is an interesting question. Can we reincarnate in the same timeline after death, like a video game, if you don't beat the level?
Yeah, sometimes you'll go back and live the same exact life over until you make the right choice where you got killed.
Mm.
So you will just be reliving the same timeline. You just monkey flip back to the beginning in your consciousness. So you don't make that move that got your ass murdered.
Yeah.
As soon as you figure it out, you've learned in the self now. But you can definitely reincarnate on the linear timeline.
Mm-hmm. And now, is that as long as you're playing that loop? Is that hell? Is that your own personal hell?
Um, Hell is subjective
Mm-hmm.
because what they tell us is hell comes from a trash dump in Ur of the Chaldees,
Mm-hmm.
which they called it the city of fire, where they dispose of waste product and executed criminals.
Mm-hmm.
Where you get your verse, there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth from throwing. And they also used to dispose of the synthetic workers using that method.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Oh man. All right. Let's see. Let's see if we got any more questions here. I know you might want to hold on a second. My computer's lagging for some reason. There are times I babble, and when it's happening, it reminds me of the term speaking in tongues. But I feel like I'm speaking ancient language. Can you break this down for me?
You have to learn how to translate it into English.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you learn that, it all makes sense. It's
Mm-hmm.
not gonna make sense until you. So if you find yourself doing it, if you can record it and listen to it and ask yourself, I feel like, what do I feel like I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're in tune with your emotional body, the expression of the feelings that's coming across can help you to translate what's being said.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of time we are literally speaking Atlantean or um, ancient Akkadian or something.
Yeah.
A lot of those ancient languages.
Mm-hmm. All right, brother. I'm not seeing any more questions. You know what I'm saying? And I ran out of my questions, man. So hey, um, you know, hopefully, like I said, hopefully the good sister can, we can get back on there. I really wanted y'all to get, on here. I'm like I said, I hope she's okay. I'm gonna reach out to her again to see if all is well. But
Yeah,
regardless, you know
let
what
her
I'm
know
saying?
we missed her, and next
Yeah.
time when she ready, we'll be ready.
Yep. Indeed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that's it for me. Like I said, you know what I'm saying? If y'all haven't already, please follow, like, and share. Get this information out to the people, you know what I'm saying? Especially dealing with this day and time. We talked about some really important things that we're seeing that are brand new, you know what I'm saying? That are very important happening as far as waking up the masses, you know what I'm saying? So as always, Uncle Rod, man, I appreciate you, my man, and you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? And we're gonna link back. I'm gonna have to get the good sister back on here, but I'll find out what's going on and we're gonna work it out. In the
Okay.
meantime, hey man, when I say that I literally 3 times a week I'll be listening to you, you know what I'm saying? Because it's very comforting hearing a voice that is talking on this caliber and this with this type of information that's so necessary. So I applaud you, brother, man, for what you're doing and just teaching us. You know what I'm saying? I applaud you 100%, man.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yes, and sir. Again, you know what I'm saying, and I took this from you. You know what I'm saying? All tribes unite. You know what I'm saying?
Reading out of the holy tablets and various other different scrolls. So I'm gonna jump right into it. So the first question is, one of the sisters wanted you to explain what is mitochondria DNA.
Well, mitochondrial is the fuel source to the DNA cell itself. They're not actually the same thing. We call it mitochondrial DNA, but it's not really DNA. It's its own individual cell within a cell, so to speak. When we study the mitochondrial, the anatomy of the mitochondrial, we find that in there's a part called the matrix. The matrix
Okay.
tied to the portal of life that we call the uterus. All right. In this portal of life, creation of humanity is reduplicated in the womb of the woman. Every time a woman have a child, female have a child, that child went through the entire stages of human evolution in the womb. The mitochondrial is inherited from the motherland. The mother communicates to her child using mitochondria to allow the child to develop instinct on a subconscious level. Now, the female that your mother picked for you is going to be able to communicate using your heart chakra, and then the female will receive from your mother the mitochondrial control of the man. When this happens, then the female has to gradually raise your mitochondrial output so that you can transform to a higher level of male called a divine masculine. Divine masculine is a man whose mitochondrial is turned up to the point where he's like totally creative, use more right brain, abstract reasoning and things.
Right.
Like it's a amino acid crystalline substance, and it doesn't work without the mitochondrial. So when they calling it mitochondrial DNA, they attaching it to the DNA structure itself within the nucleus of the cell. They telling you that it's mitochondrial, but it alters or controls DNA. That's what the mitochondrial do. This is the whole purpose of relationships, developing balance in the relationship that you have with your partner so that you can control the energy. Because if that shit turn up and you haven't done your self-work, it just make you a worse motherfucker than you already was. Yeah. But if you did the self-work when it turn up, it make you become something extraordinary for who you've been.
So you're saying with the male, with the female mitochondria, or mitochondria in general between male and female, the balancement of like doing like shadow work is what balances the relationships?
No, The shadow work makes you capable of balancing your own relationships by finding your own personal balance. That's what the shadow work purpose is. Your shadow work is to make sure that you don't carry the 7 deadly sins as part of your general makeup. So you want to forego the 7 deadly sins, and what's the counterpart? 7 holy virtues.
Right.
So you now that you know when you know what they are, then you can exchange the negative for the positive. That's called upgrade. Shadow work is dealing with all of that shit on the inside of you that you will see in other people you don't like, but you don't even realize that you do the same shit.
Oh.
That's why I say, judge not that ye may not be judged. For by the same measure which you judge, by that measure also shall ye be judged. So whatever you condemn somebody else for, or look down on somebody else for, is going to be your cause of your own personal judgment. Because you judge yourself by how you judge others.
Yeah. It's like you measure yourself up to those people.
Mm-hmm.
But not realizing that you could be very well just as guilty of doing the same things that you don't like in them.
Yeah. Because you don't want to look, you want to look at everybody but yourself. Remember before I told you, I tell motherfuckers that's doing, when they doing their self-work, if everywhere you go you have a problem with somebody, it's only one common denominator. You're the only motherfucker that go.
Okay.
So if everywhere you go you got a problem with somebody, you need to look at yourself.
You
the only common denominator, yourself.
You said that, that's My
granny the only motherfucker with you everywhere you go.
He said you're the only motherfucker with you everywhere you go. So yeah, that's like my granny used to say. If everybody's saying the same thing about your boy, everybody can't be lying.
Yeah. Because they can only tell them what they see in you, what you show. Motherfuckers think they know you, but they've just met you and spent no real quality time with you. That's because they heard you on the lecture. They think they know who you is now. No, you don't know who the fuck I
am. Okay, so here's another one. Can you explain in greater detail how the mitochondria DNA allow women to procreate without a male?
It's not mitochondria alone. First of all, she got to have what you call a 3-point awakening. That's the uterus, the mitochondrial, and she has to have raised her sacred secretion. If she haven't done those 3 things all together, she won't be able to spontaneously reproduce herself. What we call parthenogenesis.
Right.
But when she do, she can use her imagination to develop the child. We call it marking a child. When they say, don't say that around while she's pregnant around you, that might mark that baby.
Right.
Yes. So what you say, what you do, mark the child. That's how you know what child is who. You know, so it's the mitochondria alone is not responsible for parthenogenesis. There's more body parts going on than just that. It's a synchronization of key creative energy fields in the body.
Right. So do you think that based on the science and technology that we have now, that could actually help with those particular elements that goes into parthenogenesis for women, that may be possible again in this day and time?
Look, the parthenogenesis, before you even think about that, you got to control your menstrual cycle. If you can't willfully control your menstrual cycle, you can't reproduce a child. You're not ready to reproduce parthenogenically yet.
And so what does the menstrual cycle have to do with it?
No, it's not the menstrual cycle. It's the control.
That's what I mean. What is the control of, my bad. What is the control of the menstrual cycle have to do with parthenogenesis?
Because then you can pick your, it's about controlling the menstrual cycle is about understanding her body enough to know how to create in her own womb without any outside intervention. You got to learn to control. If when they in tune with their uterus, they can turn that motherfucking shit on and off, but they don't know it because they taught that it's going to come every 28 days because it's been artificially induced by the sun. By the moon. The moon is to block out the Lilith energy. The Lilith energy is the old crone energy that gives the woman under the Lilith energy could control all aspects of herself. She could procreate parthogenically. She can go through life without a menstrual cycle until she's ready to have a child. The moon is artificially installed in the atmosphere. It replaced a massive meteor that was there that was a part of the earth. They moved that and put the moon there. The moon is not organic. It's not original. It's not natural. It's part of the hologram with the Dark Knight satellite. So it's part of the maintenance of the three-dimensional framework.
Okay. So let's get on. Let's talk about the reptilian agenda, because I've been getting questions for you about that.
Okay.
So when the reptilian species is being spoken about, is this allegorical, metaphorical, or is it literal? That's the first question that they wanted me to ask you.
Okay, when they're talking about reptilians, it's been exaggerated. The human is a reptile mammal hybrid. Right. So we already part reptilian. It's the only thing now is what percentage of reptilian and what will they come out to look like? Some of them really come out. They call the condition ichthyosis.
Right.
When they come out. Yeah. There's reasons for that. Yeah. So
and then achondroplasia, the achondroplasia where the damn fingers are wrapped around by more skin and they stuck together.
Achondroplasia is dwarfism.
Okay.
That's different.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
so,
but you got another disease like hirsutism.
Yeah, that's that extra hairy shit.
Yeah.
That's when you grow hair in very strange places, or you see women that got too much testosterone and she growing a full damn beard.
Mm-hmm. That comes from a species of now extinct hominid, or we believe that they extinct, I'll put it that way, called Australorobustus.
Right, I've heard of that.
And then Asia is called Giganthrolopithecus.
Okay, can you break that word down for the viewers, brother?
Giganthrolopithecus means ancient giant human. They average to be 8 feet tall. Their genetics is still in the human genome. It's just that they're not born in their original form in its totality because they've been amalgamated out. A lot of the species that used to exist has been amalgamated out that were different species of hominids.
Okay, so go ahead and finish explaining the reptilians. Like, how has it been exaggerated? Now, we know that the brain has a part in it called the RX factor, right? And I think that that's abbreviated for Rex, symbolic of reptilian. And we understand that humans in the first stages in the mother's womb is in a reptilian state, and then they develop into, Gramardians and all these other different species until they, turn human on the 9th month. But I think that what they're speaking about is the extraterrestrial involvement aspect of reptilians. Like, they want to know, are the reptilians actually physical like humans, looking different like snakes, like the pictures they're seeing?
That's why I brought up ichthyosis. Because you have humans that look like reptiles.
Gotcha.
So we shouldn't be far-fetched that there would be a species of hominid coming from somewhere else that look lizard-like. Right? So to us, they would be having the condition of ichthyosis, a severe case of ichthyosis.
Okay.
But they come from a place that's normal in their genome.
So it's more genetically normal, basically.
The trait
for that particular species.
Right. The trait has to be a normal trait in order for us to classify them under a certain classification.
Gotcha.
So you got different beings just look like different types of reptiles and insects. They call insectoids.
So now when we start speaking about the different beings, such as like the Rumardians or the Greys, where do they fit in the scheme of this thing as far as like genetically? Is it that that's been exaggerated also? and there's a way that we can relate to it more as humans, or you know, are they from a specific star constellation and genetically they're just bred that way? What's your understanding on that?
A lot of those what we call grades, they in suits. They look like a sign when they take off the suit. But they probably more leaner from space travel causes the muscles to become leaner. So those, a lot of the people that see the big bug-eyed aliens, them helmets, they got on suits. They don't look like that. They look like they straight from motherfucking the sign. Or they look like Elijah Muhammad without the suit.
Gotcha. I see exactly what you're saying. It's more that they have like, you're not taking a picture or of them themselves. It's like taking a picture of an astronaut that has a spacesuit on, basically.
Yeah, exactly that. But by us not knowing what's going on, we have to rationalize in our mind what we see. When we give the description and they draw it, we got this big bug-eyed alien creature that don't look nothing like that, but it look exactly like the spacesuit he wearing.
That makes all the sense in the world too, because you can just give realistic examples of just, you know, fucking NASA. And stuff like that with the space travel.
Not just NASA, not just space travel. The guy that goes to put on the deep sea diving suit.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that part. Yeah.
Imagine you ain't never seen the deep sea diving suit. You on the beach and the motherfucker come out the water with goggles on, the snorkel on.
Hey, we got the brother Rod Hayes in the building. I dropped this Cash App in the comment section. If y'all want to show the brother some love, he gonna drop it. We going all the way in today. Go ahead, brother, finish.
So you on the beach, you ain't never seen nobody in a wetsuit, and they ask you to describe them. You gonna describe damn near a mermaid.
from the foot gear to the way they swimming, that makes sense.
Yep. All that is like, okay. So the Dogon talk about no more Amo coming out of the water.
That's
they
right.
talk like Ikki and Ainana coming out the water, and they said they had on a fish suit. Remember?
Yep.
The fish suit is for underwater activities. They used to use the skins of dolphins and beluga whales to make underwater suits.
And you know what, bro? When you look at those deep sea divers that be like in those animal theme parks and how that be dealing with like the whales and the dolphins, those black suits resemble exactly what you're saying, as if it came from the skin of a whale.
Mm-hmm. Because that's what they was using, right? And then they was using they can make it airtight. You can make the suit airtight
to the point where it fit your body like skin.
You can either make it fit your body like skin, or you can store air in the suit because it's airtight to take underwater while you're swimming, and you will control your breathing to determine how much farther you got to go underwater.
Right. So let's talk about planet Risk. People want to know if Risk is a hypothetical planet or a literal planet.
I already posted that. NASA already said they found the planet with the 3 suns and all that. I posted that shit last year. They finally admit they discovered Risk. Basically, they just didn't name it that.
Now, I know that because I seen a newspaper article on it. I actually seen a newspaper article on it. But these are the questions that the brothers and sisters that's been listening to you want to know, because they kind of heavy into the Dwabu doctrine or protocols or whatever, and you know they see you as the most knowledgeable right now on the platform. So I said, I'm gonna go ahead and see when the brother got some time, and we're gonna go in.
Hey, look,
go ahead, bro.
I got a new Wabian brother in Detroit. Got a damn near photographic memory for this shit. That's what I used to study with.
Okay. Is there a lot of Nuwabians out there in Detroit? Because I met some in the feds.
Look, it's undercover Nuwabians everywhere. The ones that don't tell you they Nuwabians, but they work in the office buildings downtown.
Yeah. I know
Got
exactly.
every Malachi book he ever wrote on their bookshelf. They around. You just don't know who they is because they ain't running around propagating the doctrine openly like that. They passing as functional retarded Americans.
Sometimes that's best, especially when you're dealing with a way of life like ours, because you become a target sometimes, and people still got regular lives that they're trying to lead and fulfill their purpose in a whole different way. So I understand that. So here's another thing. When we start talking about the planet Risk, right, and the space travel of the Riskians and the Anunnaki, who started calling them Riskians as opposed to the Sumerians calling them Anunnaki?
Well, you got to remember in Arabic, they call it Razak. Razaka is where the root word to risk is.
That's right. It means to provide.
Right. And when you calling them riskians, you just calling them providers. Right. So if it was already in the language, it was already in use. Because to provide, Razak becomes the providers, riskians. You know, but look, now we can sit here and have a risky conversation. I don't got no problem with that. We can talk about the land mass, the water, all that shit. But I'm gonna tell you this. This is one of the major distractions for the human. We want to know more about risk than we know about Earth in order for us to be comfortable with understanding that risk is even there.
I agree.
All of our problems on Earth is Earth problems that we got to fix on Earth. We can't go to risk to fix Earth's problems. So if we want to solve the problem, then we have to deal with what's on Earth and what's in front of us. Don't get caught staring at the sky while a motherfucker in front of you coming to cut you down.
You're right about that, because that is a distraction.
For a long time, man, I didn't talk about anything extraterrestrial because I believe that we don't even pay attention enough to what's going on Earth to even be concerned with what's happening in the stars.
I don't talk about it, to be honest with you. People don't even know what I know because I just let everybody else speak, because I feel that from my perspective, there's so much that we need to do here. And we always, we do get great leaders, don't get me wrong, but every time something happens with one of our leaders, it seems to knock us back. And then it's like we have to start all over. So to me, extraterrestrial involvement in different aspects, it's nothing wrong with it, but it's like, man, do you know how far we are from where we need to be based on the fact of where we stand right now? So I can't concentrate on that. I can talk about it, but it's only to satisfy a person's curiosity, like really what I'm doing now, to be able to ask you these questions that brothers and sisters want to know, when in reality, like you said, we got Earth problems right here that we face every day. It ain't like we can get on a ship and just go to risk and start dealing with their shit, because we ain't even dealing with our own.
That's exactly my point. So a lot of times when they be asking me about outer space, the first thing I want to know, have you read State of Emergency by Kwanzaa Kunjufu? They haven't read that. They ain't ready to be worried about risk, Nibiru, or none of that shit. They got Earth issues they need to tend to. I said, everybody look like us need a copy of State of Emergency. If I could afford it, I would make people be mandatory that everybody look like us got one.
Yeah. So there has been, over the years, for the past, I would say about damn near 100 or more years, all of this talk on how the so-called secret society called the Illuminati has this effect on our life, and the plot and plan to do all of these things, which we see it come to fruition, but I don't think that people generally have the right understanding when it comes to the influence of this particular group. Can you expound on that?
So the Bavarian Illuminati are Adam Weishaupt operating in America as Morals and Dogmas of Albert Pike, off of a treaty agreement by George Washington in Paris that wasn't even signed over here. Right? So they control in the Americas and around the world It's not a question of if it's there. It's how to get rid of them motherfuckers is the question. So that's what we've been really working on, how to get rid of them, because we can trace them back all the way to the to Mount Sinai when they landed. All you gotta do is match history books up with the story the Sumerians tell and the strategies of the Anunnaki, and you can weave history like a tapestry to show exactly what took place.
So, what would be the strategy to get rid of them?
First, you had to identify them. We already did that. Once you got them identified, then you got to find out what they're doing so that you can undo it. We already did that with Noble Drew Ali. Now that you know what they're doing, you know who all of them are. Now you got to locate their geography, and you have to infiltrate all of their levels in order to have some. You got to have a dog in every fight, basically. And having a dog in every fight entails you covering the same 9 areas of people activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. You have to counter on every one of them fronts. That's how you start taking the community back, all the way back.
So when you say we've identified them, how would you explain to the people who are not really cognizant of still who they are?
I wouldn't explain it to them, truthfully speaking. We to the point now, if you can't see the stage show, there's no need us. Allows the diesel fuels to be converted into fuel. And so we're going to experience that, but the sooner we separate from the system, the sooner we don't give a fuck about the system.
About paying bills.
Right. The shorter the suffering time is, the more we put into worrying about paying the bills. Because look, if everybody at the same time stop paying bills, this the problem that we really truly face with. If everybody at the same side say, I'm not paying my gas bill, you know who responsibility to fall on it at that point?
That government.
The government. The government then is obligated by demand of the people to pay the light bills. Unilaterally across the board. They already been contracted to do that. But the people are allowing them to force them to pay something with the fiat currency, which is just a marker, which is an IOU. Right? When the contract was in play, we had the sovereign right to issue an IOU as a legitimate currency under that system. Now, the fiat currency system is being dismantled piece by piece. Right? So when this system is dismantled, in order for the new system to come up, millions of people going to lose their lights, their gas. They're going to try to serve evictions on y'all. But if the landlord see what's going on, he's going to suck it up and not worry about it because he's going to get compensated when the new system come up. But we going to go through a period where everybody going to have to take a little bit of this bump, this suffering shit, in order to get free, because freedom ain't free. You obligated to do something in the name of freedom in order to get free. And sometimes it requires you to make a sacrifice you don't want to make. That's why I make sure I align my business up to the point where I don't have any of those ties. Right? I got what you call residuals. The residuals come in the form of like social media setups. Since the contract has been claimed, right, or closed, and everything has been claimed by me, then I'm not really under contract to the social media. I seize that shit. I seize it for the purposes of informing the people of what's taking place in real time, right? So their contract has it's non-enforceable contract because I claimed everything on behalf of the people, right? So in my telephone, these are contracts that when I seized it, they become non-enforceable contracts, right? Now, all we got to do is push a little harder on Trump ass, actually.
You see,
military intelligence has this shit every step of the way, and the 200 mules is just the tip of it. No, what was it called? Was it 200 mules? Yeah, 200 mules. Talking about now, if you know, now we just two average dudes. Now, before we get into this part of the conversation, you got to look at this. You got the greatest military team assembled in history in the Pentagon. You think these motherfuckers don't know what could be done to give the people back their shit? You think they're gonna keep overlooking this shit if I see it? I see it. They can't overlook it.
Like you said, we I would say low on the totem pole, but yeah, we two regular dudes. So you got the site, then they definitely can see it.
Yeah, because they got more insider information than me. Right? And if they got more insider information than me, and I can see it from the little bit of information I got, they know exactly what's going on. So they know. All they have to do now is they don't have to do nothing. All they got to do is monitor. They got the motherfucker hacking the computers on camera, the TV screen, the computer screen, Wiley hacking it. They got the electronic, where you push the enter on the keyboard, and at the same time, it's sending all that information that's on the screen over to the computer system. They was filming that asshole while he was doing that dumbass shit. Now, how do they know where to film him at? The Secret Service, the KGB, MI5, MI6. Intelligence communities around the world been linked up to overthrow this tyranny. But in the process, they was crossing each other out left and right. So if we know it, we've seen the modus operandi is clearly visible to the naked eye without no extra shit. They don't have to do no deep investigation, just the surface look. The MO can be seen. Now, all they have to do now is catch it on camera. That's all they got to do is catch it on camera. Once they catch it on camera, right? All they got to do then is present the conspiracy to the public. But they stalling, the white hat stalling, because they using the time that they stalling for the people to become aware of what has actually taken place. And it's not just me, it's hundreds of us on social media just telling the story. Right? So if it's hundreds of us on social media that know the story, thousands of us is now receiving the information.
And that's going to be that snowball effect.
That's where we at with it. Sooner or later, this shit got to be brought out in the open because they can only hold it a secret for so long.
Yeah, we out of that age.
Yep. So When they get to the point where they can't keep it, where they can't let the narrative run its rogue course, rogue also spells rouge, which means red,
Right.
which ties to the Red Lodge. When it gets running its course, it has to be made known to the public, because you can't change the government over and don't put the people in the position to know that you changing the government over. We getting rid of these motherfucking rapists, pedophiles, baby rapers, motherfucking child traffickers, women traffickers. We getting rid of these motherfuckers, right? And the only way we gonna ever be aware of that is if somebody come along and tell us. So once we all become aware, we all get on board with the agenda that we agree. The agenda that affects the most people is to reclaim the earth. That's the only thing that we can do that make any sense. Exercise the first right to the earth right, which is the women's right to the wealth of the earth. Then you exercise the blood right of the KNG family leadership role, which is you got to be a straight bump. Right? I mean, you got to stand up, take the motherfucking drama, whichever side it come from. The wicked or the righteous, but you don't got to get involved in that shit. In your God mind, you above all that shit. The only way to rise above it all, right, is to have no interest in either side. My interest is in neither side. My interest is in my big mama told me leave no stone unturned, and my mama told me don't let nobody take my siblings' shit. My sister's shit been took, and I'm giving it back. That's all. Ain't nothing else to it. That's it. That's my entire agenda right there. Big mama told me to get my people's shit back. Mama told me that somebody took my sister's shit and to get it back. My whole agenda is to get their shit back. I don't care what happened after that. I can go live in the woods, in the hut, in the dirt. It don't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you put the power where it goes, everything gonna run the way it's supposed to run.
Mm-hmm. So that's a good segue into this next question. But basically, you were just saying, Mama gave you the play, you out here running it.
Mm-hmm.
Paige Flowers came with, now since the contract is closed, how long do you think it'll take to establish our tribes and kick the imposters out? It's hard because our people aren't ready to stop working and filing paperwork.
You know, that's a good question, but no man know the day or the hour. That means that the women is more privy to the dates than we are, right? Because they are the ones in control of the earth rights. One of the earth rights is to establish events according to prescribed time frames. If we get enough women to give a deadline date, it can be tomorrow. It's over, right? But they have to do it together in a group, right? And so right now we each want to reach one. We're trying to get information that raises the conscious awareness of the condition.
So is that why they used to have multiple oracles working together to kind of see the vision of what was going to happen? And
Yep.
They were all women, but it was like at least 5 or sometimes 3.
So what normally when you see multiple oracles, they all got a different gift. One might be a tarot reader. One might read runes, right?
Mm-hmm.
One might be clairvoyant, where they see things. Some of them is clairaudient, where they hear things, right? And some of them is clairkinesthetic, where they feel things. And they learn how to translate the feeling according to experience. Experience of life teaches them how to translate their gift into a term that they can tell you what they seeing, what Big Mama is saying with the oracle, right? Once they do this, you're looking at the same problem with entirely different tools of perception, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like doing an attack with all of the branches of the military or just one.
Mm-hmm. Because they have different characteristics and abilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
that makes
sense.
I don't know how. To that, Captain
I don't know how long it's gonna take, but I do know everybody gonna have to go through a rough patch before it get easy.
Darkest before the dawn.
Yep.
Good ass question, Paige. Good question. Somebody said, now why did they report Larry Hoover denouncing the GDs?
because we growth and development now. We ain't got nothing to do with gangster disciples no more.
Disciples. Mm-hmm.
Gangster disciples is a government flagged terrorist organization. Growth and development is a political activist group and a tribal organizing mechanism. Two different things totally. Right? So remember what Tupac or Biggie said in that sitting in the park about Tupac dying? He said, I gotta take my power. Now, since he gone, I gotta take my power and do what with it? Remember what he said? Flip it.
Ooh.
Flip it. Right? So what he mean by that is you take something that they use as our oppression and you flip it. Use it for a come up. Right? We've been changed from gangster disciples to growth and development. That's not new.
Right. I was gonna say that's been a minute.
But some people hold on to the mob mentality of the ignorant. Whereas if they was growth and development, they would be gravitating more to the organizational structure and the rethinking of the problems in the community to solve problems. That's the difference between gangster disciples and growth and development. Those who still identify with the old gangster disciples is the ones doing the dirt, using Larry's name, dirtying up his name. The ones who are growth and development, you might not ever know they growth and development until they say free Larry Hoover. Because it's a whole different topic, a whole different agenda. Growth and development is coming organic from the land up on a new awareness, and the gangster disciple is predicated up on the old awareness of an adolescent mind. Yeah, remember, Larry was a baby when he got locked up. I was 5 years old when he got locked up. I'm an old ass man now.
Right.
So he has no affiliation with the gangster disciples. That's not all that is a ploy to hold him back in prison. It's to make him say gangster disciple. He have to denounce gangster disciple because he's not gangster disciple no more.
Yeah, he ain't gonna get out if he still rapping that too.
Well, that's one thing. And the gangster disciple doesn't stand under the same principles as growth and development. Growth and development is the organization that created the LSD union, the Lord Stone's Disciple Union. Right? Where Angel Bay, Larry Hoover, and a few others was Vice Lord elites was instrumental in trying to get out of that mentality of gangbanging and push us to this understanding of what brain banging is. Right? So they don't want us to continuously kill each other in the street using those old monikers. And those old monikers is what the government was using as the tool to enforce COINTELPRO mandates. So if you want to get the leadership back on the land, you have to go from the government's criminal enterprise to the organic land tribal restructure. All he is just the head of the family. Really, to us. To them, he was the leader of the gangster disciples. He's never been the leader of a gang to the family.
Right.
To the family, he's been the leader of the family.
Right.
To the government, he's been the leader of a gang.
And
so
that's that whole to him, to one person, like it's almost like our God is their devil, their devil is our God.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. I couldn't have said that no better myself. Because if you want to rule, the people that's the biggest threat to your rule is the people that you want incapacitated or dead. Right? And for some reason, you just can't kill everybody. It's some of us that none of us won't kill.
You're just that protected.
It's that connected to the family. Right? Where certain ones of us can walk into a hostile situation of two opposing factions and say, what the fuck is y'all doing? And they'll listen. Whereas others of us that are trying to do the same shit, and they gonna do his ass. Right there on the spot, he ain't gonna make it.
Right.
He got in their business. But it's certain ones of us that when we step into that, hey, cut it out. This is what's going on. Right? They listen. They know we know who each other is, even if we don't consciously know. Subconsciously, we know.
That's real. I saw that the other day. Buddy just walked up on these two kids fighting and stopped the fight. While everybody, it was a big crowd of people just watching them fight. People were trying to stop them from fighting. They wouldn't stop. But he walked up. He was an innocent bystander. Just got off the bus or something. Walked up and said, "Look, y'all fighting for what?" And then made them shake hands after he calmed them down. Made them give each other a hug or something silly like that.
Look, I got a homeboy from Pontiac named Juan Wall. He bless his spirit. He gone to the other side. But me and Juan had crews that beef with each other. We bump into each other in the joint and start talking, kicking, having conversation. And we both agreed that had I known him and had a conversation with him back then, we could have squashed all that bullshit. But, you know, we ride or die with our homeboys, but we don't take the time to take the leadership position to make sure our homeboys ain't doing no fuckery. You know, we all got homeboys that start shit, and then we got to come clean it up for them. Why don't we just stop them niggas from starting shit? Seriously.
No, that's real.
You won't need no cleanup, man.
Not at all.
What's next on the questions?
This one is from Boom Man. Should I start an LLC under this system or wait till the system is completely over with? The latter.
I would wait till it's over with. I can only tell you what I would do. Because just because I would do it don't mean that you will or you're supposed to. You're supposed to follow what you feel is right in your heart and make the best decisions you can according to the circumstances and the situation. Right? But I wouldn't build one. I would be doing research right now on the family bank, on the restructuring of the family, trying to find out and assess the talents and the skills of everybody in the family so I can know who to put over the family medical treatment and the treatment of the elders and the women that's pregnant. I know in the family who to put over finance. I know who over family to put over family gathering, what we call the planning committee. I would be trying to find that stuff out for the flip right now because we almost there.
Okay, so one fire one, but I think she took the question. Okay, here it is. Go ahead. You still have some more.
Go ahead.
This one was fire. She said somewhere she noticed that there were. Where'd it go? I came across some information about women having 5 elixirs that are housed inside the womb. Have you heard of that? And is that true?
It's complicated. Most of that is in the women's archive. I don't have access to some of that information, but some of the women do. That's yoni priestesses. I personally wouldn't answer this question but I would refer to a yoni priestess to answer it. Because even if I did know the answer, when I started talking about what's going on inside of their vagina, in due respect, you should be having the women talk to the women about it.
That's real. Okay, here's one. Please interpret why I keep having dreams of me being kidnapped, trapped. I always end up escaping. Topic, but it's dream interpretation.
Yeah, dream interpretation is variables that go with interpreting a dream, right? So you need to get a feel for what a person is going through in their personal life, because the kidnapped and you breaking free could be somebody trying to usurp your power, but you reclaiming your power back. It could be just that simple. Or it could be attached to a bunch of colors and numbers that'll make it have even more detail to the meaning.
Yeah, they really are. Like, I'm getting fired interpreting my own dreams now, to where like pretty much like the first one, the really pivotal one that I had, it took me like a year to understand what it was. It's like I play, but I write my dreams down, either that or put them in a note in my voice notes. And then like a year later, I went back and listened to the dream, and I'm like, oh damn, that's what that was. Because I think I was going through a lot of stress, but literally, I don't know, but I sing, and so I'm just out here like running away from whoever I'm running, and I end up in the back of a church, run through the church, and then run on stage. I guess some act had just finished. Maybe they was having a talent concert. I run on stage, man, and me and the two people that were with me start performing, and we start performing Grateful. When I'm telling you, Rod, I think I'm singing my ass off, like like the best shit you probably would ever hear. Like I sound amazing. Not to say my voice ain't fire, but, and I get back. You was singing in the dream. And I'm talking about in the pews behind me, Rod. So there was a pews down in front of me. There was the stands down in front of me, in front of the stage, was just young people dressed like they was going to a Future concert, right? And then up behind me was basically like pews, and they was all dressed up older people, like the elders. They was suited and booted, you know. And I'm running up and down the stairs with the old people. I'm back there with the old people. I let my two homies, you know, serenade the women in front, the young people. And I'm vibing, fam. Like I'm talking about running up and down the steps. And then when I finally get to the bottom, like all this energy just overcame me. And then a woman got behind me. Like I start crying in a dream. A woman got behind me and literally just said, "I got you." And I fell into her arms. Right. And then a man was right behind her. And he was like, "This is what you're supposed to be doing." I didn't know what the fuck the woman represented at the time. That was Big Mama telling me she got me. I just need to relax. You know what I'm saying? And stop worrying about things. And then the dude, you know, that's what I call Papa Spirit. The guy was Papa Spirit. Like, this is how I see you spreading the message I need you to spread. So, but yeah, them dreams is different. Them dreams can really like show you and reveal certain parts of yourself for real.
And look, Royal Bow wrote, so if the government is not what we need to worry about, what do we need to prepare for? And right, so and do we do so? So look, the government, when we say the government ain't nothing to fear or to worry about, it's because that government is gone. The preparation is because when one government folds, the system, the financial system got to change to something else. The political structure has to be changed to something else. During these changes, it's just like a woman giving birth. You go through the labor pains, right? So a woman got 9 months to prepare to go through her labor pains unless you have a preemie. But normally she's going to, on average, have about 9 months to go through her labor pains and to focus her mental to switch over to being a mother. Right? It's the same thing when this government switch. Though you preparing for is you preparing for during the transitional period. Pay attention. You got food, all of this GMO shit being destroyed in real time. This is not a joke.
Nah, left.
But when in 80% of our food supply to 98% of it is all GMO. So you need to get something to sustain you until the GMO shit is replaced on the shelves where you can go to the store again. Right? You need to be prepared. This is what you